Hello and welcome to another episode of the Woke is Broke podcast. I'm your host, as always, Joshua Stanko, and I am still on the road this week. I am currently outside of Appomattox, which is somewhere in the United States, apparently. But in terms of the news, so the Oscars happened last night, which is a thing. I didn't watch it because, like the rest of America, I don't watch the Oscars. I don't watch the Academy Awards. I don't watch the Golden Globes, unless Ricky Gervais is hosting, because I'm not interested in what those shows are. Because what the Oscars are is just a collection of hyper-wealthy blowhards going out there and handing themselves trophies and telling themselves how much more awesome, how much more moral they are than you, and how you need to live your life. Not to mention that it was just hosted this year by stellar talent, right? Like Wanda Sykes, who you might remember from the hit movie Evan Almighty. Regina Hall as well, because they needed two black women. And Amy Schumer, a woman who has one set of jokes, a supposed comedian who has one joke that she's been doing for 20 years, and that's the slut joke. 20 years of one joke. And these are the stellar, most hilarious women these are the best of the best, the cream of the crop that they could get to come out here and host this slobber fest, right? And what were their jokes? Oh, they laid into Florida over the Don't Say Gay bill, right? The bill that says, no, teachers don't have the authority to teach 3-year-olds about sexual values in alignment with the LGBTQ themes. It's always good to see that our moral betters are insisting that children be able to be indoctrinated in radical sexual values and sexual ideology. That's not creepy or demented as hell. That isn't anything anyone would ever protest if it was, say, coming out of, the Catholic Church. But it happens in public schools, right, with teachers with pink hair, and apparently it's totally fine. Apparently it's totally fine to have isolated conversations with children regarding sex and sexual values, and to not be able to not inform parents about those conversations. That isn't creepy. That isn't wrong at all. But as long as it's happening in public schools, right? But I digress. But no, the main highlight out of the Oscars, really, the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because everybody's talking about it today. So Will Smith lost his shit at the Oscars. Lost his shit. Right? So what happened? So Chris Rock, the comedian, got up on stage to announce who was winning an award for a particular category. And Chris Rock did what every comedian does at these award shows, right? They get up on stage, they make some jokes, and they make some jokes about specific people in the audience, right? They'll always get up and make fun of Jack Nicholson, right? For all of his failed marriages. Or they'll get up and they'll make fun of Fabio for his ridiculous hair or something like that, right? They always target one or two celebrities, right? So Chris Rock gets up there, and he happens to target Jada Pinkett Smith, make a crack about her. Why? Because she has a shaved head. Now, apparently, Jada Pinkett Smith is suffering from a hair loss condition. Some women would probably get a wig. Others might get a hair transplant. Jada Pinkett Smith decided to just cave in and just shave her head entirely, right? Chris Rock supposedly wasn't aware that that was due to a hair condition. Nevertheless, he saw Jada Pinkett Smith with a shaved head. He said, hey, I'm really looking forward to seeing you in G.I. Jane 2. Right? Now, I'll be honest, joke, pretty weak tea. And, given the hair loss condition, yeah, it seems a little below the belt. If he wasn't aware of it, he wasn't aware of it. Either way. Apparently, despite the fact that Chris Rock is a A-list comedian who's been doing this for 20, 30 years at this point, despite this being the Oscars, right? National television, right? That wasn't enough to stop Will Smith from jumping up on stage, walking up to Chris Rock, and striking him in the face, smacked him in the face, committed criminal battery on live television in front of millions of people. Well, I'm sorry, in front of 12 people and the other millions of people who are definitely watching this, right? Commits criminal battery, walks away, and then screams at the top of his lung twice, screams at Chris Rock, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth. The reason why I just detest Hollywood, the reason why almost everyone detests Hollywood, detests these actors and actresses, is because you cannot name another profession in which anyone could walk up to another person on live television and commit criminal battery against them and receive no criminal consequences whatsoever, no charges, nothing, and to know that your career will not be negatively impacted by this at all. And additionally, that you could then walk back up on that stage moments later to an accept award for yourself and apologize, not to Chris Rock, not to the person that you criminally battered, but to the Academy, and then to say love makes you do crazy things. This actually happened. Commits criminal battery against him, swears at the top of his lung on live television, then gets back up moments later to accept an award, apologizes to the Academy, and then just says love makes you do crazy things. Yeah, love makes you do crazy things. Love makes you, remain in a relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith, a woman who has cheated on Will Smith for years. She's made him a cuckold, right? Love will make you do crazy things like deciding to homeschool your 2 children and turn them into a couple of freaks. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Will Smith is a failure as a father. He is a failure as a husband. He is a very, very weak, very whipped man. Okay? And he's a thug. You have to be a thug to jump up on stage at a comedian and strike them in the face and think that is even remotely acceptable. You know, the reason why Ricky Gervais's big Golden Globe speech, right, a couple of years where he rails into the Hollywood elites, right, the reason why that speech is so powerful, why it was so hilarious but so impactful, the reason why everybody loves that speech is because these Hollywood actors and actresses think that everybody loves them, that everyone deeply, deeply cares what they have to say, what they think, what they believe, and how you need to run your life. They think this because they are psychotically vain, psychotically arrogant. They have this Napoleonic complex about themselves, and everyone resents them for it. And it's that Napoleonic complex that actually leads to like 50-something A-lister and B-lister actors and actresses signing a letter to the Canadian government urging them to cut down on oil production, to just stop oil production in the midst of a gas crisis in this country, right? To urge them to stop oil drilling, right? And these are the people, mind you, that don't want nuclear energy, right? Because Chernobyl, and that was bad, right? These are the people that don't want hydroelectricity, right, through dams, right? Because then that would displace bugs and animals out in California. These are the people that don't want wind energy despite advocating for it, right? Because it looks tacky on the way to work, right? These are the people who would insist that we price you, price me, price everyone else out of the ability to purchase gas because it makes them feel better at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. It's just about making these people feel better. Even if it makes your life more difficult, even if it makes my life more difficult, even if you don't have enough money to heat your home, even if you don't have an ability to fill up your vehicle with fuel, as long as Mark Ruffalo feels better about himself, that's all that matters. That is why everybody hates Hollywood. That's why everybody hates these actors and actresses. These sycophantic, arrogant gas bags who get up there on stage year after year and slap you and slap everyone else living in America in the back of the head and remind us all how much better they are than us. They are not better than us. They have not lived real life in a very long time. Hollywood is not real life. Okay, there's nothing real about Will Smith getting up on national television and smacking another man and experiencing no consequences. There's nothing normal about that. There's nothing healthy about that. There's nothing that even resembles real life, because anybody else in real life does that, they get sued, they get prosecuted, they lose their job, they lose their reputation. Nothing is going to happen to Will Smith. Nothing is going to happen to Will Smith over that. And that is disgusting. I think that is wrong. I think that's really messed up. And honestly, if I was Chris Rock, I would have tackled that son of a bitch to the ground on live television. I probably would have lost that fight if I was Chris Rock, because Chris Rock is kind of scrawny. Will Smith is kind of a bigger dude. But for God's sakes, I mean, just have some dignity at the very least. Stand up for yourself at the very least, instead of just taking it like a wimp. But friggin' A. Um, in other news, so there are rumblings out of the Biden administration that they are considering doing a billionaires tax thing that they're proposing, that billionaires, in order to ensure that billionaires pay their fair share, that they're going to have to pay 20% in taxes on their income. But how are they defining income in this new billionaires tax? They're defining it as unrealized capital gains, right? Meaning, if a billionaire has a stock portfolio that's has an estimated value of, say, $1 billion, well, guess what? Now you have to pay 20% on the $1 billion. Only problem with that is you don't actually have $1 billion unless you sell your stocks. If I own 10 shares of Apple and each of those shares is worth $100, right? I cannot go to the grocery store and buy a week's worth of groceries and say, don't worry, I have $1,000 in Apple. No, I would need to sell those shares in order to have actual money to go out and buy something with. That is how I make a profit. I buy a stock, I wait till it's increased in value, and then I sell it and then receive that money. But if I never sell it, then I've never actually gained anything, have I? In the same way, if a billionaire buys up a bunch of stock and doesn't sell it, he hasn't actually earned an income. And all of this is predicated on the absolute lie that the hyper rich, the rich in general, don't pay their fair share. First of all, what is a fair share? What is that? It's never actually defined if you pay attention, right? It's just a catch-all arbitrary term the Democrats like to use. What it means basically is anything that the Democrats want it to be. It could be 20%, it could be 30%, it could be 40%. Hell, go over to California. It could be upwards of 60 to 70% of your income if you make a certain income out there. Right? So there's no such thing as a fair share as defined by the Democrats because they don't define it. It's just whatever they want it to mean. Right? But the idea that the rich in this country don't pay their fair share in taxes is verifiably false. Okay, you want to know the reality? The reality is that the bottom 50% of income earners in this country, the bottom 50%, pay 3.1% of all income taxes collected. 3.1%. The upper 50% of income earners pay 96.9% of all income taxes collected. And do you know, of that 96.9%, do you know how much of that is paid by the top 1% of income earners? 38.8%. The top 1% of income earners in this country pay 38.8% of all income taxes collected. The upper 50%, the remainder, pay the rest. So people in the bottom tax bracket pay absolutely nothing in income tax, and yet we're supposed to believe the rich aren't paying enough? They should just be paying all of it? They should be paying 20% on income that they haven't actually received? Yeah. In the middle of an economic crisis, in the middle of inflation, I can't think of anything better than convincing the number one investors in this country, the number one funders of entrepreneurship in this country, to stop buying stocks, to stop investing in businesses, to stop investing in startups, right? And to tell them that if you do any of those things, we are going to penalize the hell out of you. We're going to tax you on money you haven't even earned. All of this, meanwhile, let's not forget the fact that this is for billionaires, right? Because if it was for millionaires, well, then that would actually require Joe Biden and all the other major players in his cabinet and his administration to actually participate in this new tax plan. Because let's not forget, all the major players running the country right now are millionaires. So it's convenient that this is targeting specifically the billionaires. It is convenient how Nancy Pelosi can openly advocate for politicians and their spouses to be able to invest in businesses, invest in stocks, even with inside knowledge, right? Because if you're proposing a bill, or you know a bill is going to be passed, it's going to impact certain businesses, right? You can then take that information and you can go out and invest and make a lot of money because you have the inside track. Nancy Pelosi's totally okay with that. She's been doing it her entire career. So is her husband, right? These people are making millions of dollars off of inside information regarding stocks. That's totally cool. They don't have to pay any more in taxes, but the billionaires, they have to be punished. They have been paying their fair share. Where's Biden's fair share? Where's Nancy Pelosi's fair share? Where's Kamala Harris's fair share? Where's Barack Obama's fair share? Anybody? Anything? Anything at all? No, of course not. No, of course not. They're going to lower the national debt by blowing out the national debt. They're going to pass trillion-dollar bills that have already been paid for miraculously. Right? Let's not forget that lie, right? They're going to fix the economy by handicapping billionaires, by striking them in the back of the Achilles heel and taxing them on income they haven't even received yet. They're going to fix a gas crisis, right, by not only not leasing out, not only continuing to not sign off any more leases for oil drilling on federal lands, but to actually penalize people who have leases and aren't drilling on them right now, and who realistically can't drill on federal lands because of all the red tape that the Biden administration has thrown up. Right? You know, I've said it before, but listening to the Biden administration's prescriptions to the economic crisis that we are experiencing right now is like listening to schizophrenics teach mathematics. It is absolutely insane. There is not a shred of common sense amongst anybody in this administration. You know, I genuinely believe, don't attribute to malice what you can attribute to stupidity. There's a lot of stupidity, but there's also a lot of malice. Because there is no way that penalizing the people just above you and leaving everything else for yourself is not malicious. It's stupid as hell. It's going to wreck the economy even further, but it's malicious as hell. Let's not forget that, shall we? But in any event, I'm your host, Joshua Stanko, saying, guys, please stay safe, please stay informed, and God bless. We'll catch you on Wednesday, all right?